Hello everybody. Welcome to another Fiedler Audio live stream, and today the subject is how to remove the pain points from Dolby Atmos mixing. And the subtitle is what the doctor ordered. And the doctor is here, of course. Welcome, Mr. Thomas Fiedler. Hello.
Hello. Hello everybody.
How are you?
Fine. You?
Great. Yeah, as well. I'm a little bit excited today because it's quite a challenge that we are getting into, I think, because it might be a certain stretch to explain to the people out there what we mean by the title today, but we will get there, I'm sure. We too, with each other and also with you guys out there. So welcome to all the visitors. Hello, hello. And let's just check the chat. Yeah, it's working, and it seems that we will be audible as well, that the audio is working. Fine. So just before we started, we had another conversation, Thomas and I, about today's subject, and I said that the realizing what the situation is took a long while for me, because I started Dolby Atmos mixing with the Dolby Atmos composer, and just recently that I tried to create a Dolby Atmos mix with just the regular tool set that's available. And in my case, as you guys know, maybe I work with Logic, and there's Dolby Atmos mixing built in, and I tried to do a Dolby Atmos mix, same title I was working on with the Fiedler Dolby Atmos composer. I tried to do it how far I would get with the built-in Dolby Atmos mixing tools, and I realized some things that I felt were seriously missing because I was so used to them. And then I, through this, realized that I'm in La La Land, Happy Land with some of the basic features that come with the Fiedler audio stuff, which are not available to everybody else out there. So I thought that might be worth discussing, and that led us to this clickbait title, how to remove the pain points in Dolby Atmos mixing. And Thomas, do you have to say anything about that, or should we dive just right into the things that I realized and found out that are not the standard if you're not working with Fiedler audio tools?
Well, I think you nailed it. There are pain points for people who are, or maybe they don't even know that it is pain points, or they maybe they're not aware of that such possibilities actually exist or should exist. So I think we should just dive right in so that people get aware of the differences and of maybe what they are missing if they are using built-in workflows in the DAWs, or maybe the external renderer for their mixing workflow. So let's go.
Yeah. So, okay. I thought, I'll be the layman today, the normal musician who tries to get into new stuff, and the stereo producer who wants to get into Dolby Atmos. And what we know and what we're used to when we do stereo mixing is, these days I think a lot of mastering already happens when we are mixing the stuff. The typical mastering stage, like it was known from the old days, is kind of gone, and everybody's preparing the mixes, or it's basically, I think, the major movement that everybody's preparing their mixes already with, master limited and master processing chain to make sure that you have, the best possible frequency range for your entire mix, that it compares with everything that's out there, that it's genre relevant in terms of, the bass and overall frequency response, as I said, and also with dynamics and things like this. So a lot of sound would be completely different when you would switch off the master processing and or most probably, as a lot of people work with buses, with special treatments for certain subgroups, also with EQ and dynamics, which very intensely change the sound. And I realized when you just get into the Dolby Atmos stuff without some special tools, all this is not available to you, and all these habits basically are not possible to fulfill and to address, because some of the things simply have vanished. And so I realized, for example, that starting with the monitoring, in Logic, for example, you can switch between speaker setup, between the Dolby binaural stuff, and also the Apple Music renderer, which is cool, but then you run into serious volume differences. So if you're on headphones for the time being, when you are working on the mix and you have no speaker system available, then if you switch to the speakers, it's even not possible to listen to the stereo channels in terms of a proper volume compensation, that you would have the same amount of volume on your headphones, regardless for when the stuff is routed out to speakers. That's one thing. And then I thought that, I heard that some of the mastering tools, which are the tools of the trade, for me it's Ozone by Isotope, is capable of multi-channel processing, and so I put Ozone in front of the Dolby Atmos plugin, as it happens to be in Logic, to take care of the dynamics of the stuff that's going in there. And I realized that it works, so to say, but just for the bed and not for the objects. They pass through without any dynamics control. And so that threw me off completely. And then the next thing, one of the major things was that applies also to EQ. When you want to, control a little bit the overall frequency response of your entire Dolby Atmos mix, it also only works for what's going into the bed, and all the objects are left out. And the next thing is the entire level control. You have no level control. You can't see anything. And I have no idea how I would deal with the recommended or definitely needed minus 18 dB LUFS and all the other things. And I realized, so whenever someone is approaching a Dolby Atmos mix with, at least with Logic, which is done very nicely, so it's very intuitive and things like this. But then when you want to really finish and finalize and polish and control it, you're in, basically in the void. You're jumping out of the plane with a parachute. You haven't packed yourself, and you're not sure that it opens or not. And the other thing is that all the other things in terms of controlling the dynamics and stuff like that, you need to build something yourselves. And now I understand why I see so many additional busing systems and several complicated things with a lot of additional mixing channels on all those Pro Tools and Logics out there by the experienced Dolby Atmos mixers, because they simply have to do it. and this is really not so much intuitive. And for people who are coming from the music mixing side of things, this would be a real pain point, because you have to always maintain more stuff, more channels, more devices, trying to align them with stuff that's not made to handle so many channels, 128 channels actually, so the beds and so many objects, and that makes it really complicated. And this, I thought, most probably would be, at least for me, some serious pain points that would maybe even throw people off of getting into Dolby Atmos mixing, because the end of the process is really, really difficult. And then I realized that the cure for these pain points, the healing, the bandage, the band-aid, basically would be the Fiedler stuff. Well, some of the basic things are already built into the Fiedler Audio Dolby Atmos Composer. And of course, most of the stuff, no, everything basically, could be handled and will be handled nicely with the new mastering console, because that offers stuff that wasn't available before. And to know that the mastering console is there with all the capabilities, would produce a lot of would take away the pain points and the worry while you're doing your Dolby Atmos mix, because you can simply focus on the music stuff now and take care of all the dynamics and overall EQ and things like this, maybe treating some objects individually and stuff like that. This is taken care of afterwards by the mastering console. So mixing now with all the other tools, authoring systems for Dolby Atmos mixing, should be much more relaxed, because you can be sure, don't worry, audio leveling, true peak limiting, delivery formats, various monitoring options, this is all taken care of. That's what I thought, and that's why we came up with this clickbaiting title, taking away the pain points. And Thomas, what do you say? Does that what I said and my conclusions and my worrying make sense, or is it just another naive musician who hesitates to get a little bit more into, okay, in Logic or so you can build your buses for everything and control the stuff, but still in the end there are some open there are some gaps that are just not served
filled
from the DAW. So what do you think? And then while you respond, I will have a look at what the people think out there in the chat, if I make any sense.
What do I think? I think everything should be as easy as possible and as complex as necessary. So things which if you look at the different workflows in Pro Tools, in Logic and others, the native workflows, there are many things you have to do manually, especially in Pro Tools, and this takes a lot of time and a lot of brain. And so, of course, you can create your templates, and then you have your ready-made structure, which eventually you get to know, and then you know what you have to send from X to Y to Z. Which is okay if you are a professional mixer, you can do that. But if you are a creative guy who works iteratively, so you start with composing, you record one thing, you record the voice, you record the guitar, and then you record piano, and then you say, okay, tomorrow let's record bass and drums and stuff like this for a song. And you also already start a little bit mixing and massaging it into the Atmos world, into the immersive world. Then you really want to go intuitively and you want to go iteratively, it means you want to see in your session only that what you actually need, no big overhead of things which you already installed, so that you don't have to do the manual work later. And this is I would say it's not really difficult, but it's more tedious. It's more work when you do it with the internal solutions. This is the first thing, the number one thing, I would say. And then of course there are certain shortcomings, as you mentioned already, the lack of the possibility to process objects together. For example, what to speak of the entire mix, but to process certain objects together while maintaining that they are while maintaining them as objects. You know, if you work in a channel-based workflow and you create a group, and then you put a compressor on the group for that example, then it's all summed together. Period, and you cannot separate it, except you would do some AI stuff. But this is kind of nonsense to first sum it and then split it again. So then the question is, okay, I want to keep, for example, my drums. No? Best example is drums. You have kick drum, snare, you have hi-hats, overheads, microphones, and whatnot. And you want to eventually create a drum and compress it and equalize it together to create a consistent drum sound, to glue it together, as they say. And but you don't want to sum it physically, like that you have only in the end only a certain amount of channels which do not represent the different instruments. You want to maintain the snare object as a snare object, the kick drum object as a kick drum object, and so forth. So that means you need a way to do that. And yeah, there are ways with certain plugins to do that, but they are so tedious and so technical that especially creative people will find it hard to actually get it done right. And that's why I say we should have solutions for that, which take this burden away, because it's unnecessary. As I said before, every unnecessary burden, everything which can be automated without restricting your freedom, should be automated. And this is where I would see the Dolby Atmos Composer and the mastering console. So you mentioned also bus processing. No? You mentioned that you put the ozone in front of the Dolby Atmos plugin in Logic. And you noticed that you could also only process the bad. Well, that means bad means, again, only 712. You cannot even process a composite like you have it in the Dolby Atmos Composer, which could be 916 for that sake. And apart from that, you don't have access to the objects, because the objects are sent directly to the Dolby Atmos renderer plugin, which is in Logic. Without going through, once they reach the object panner, the panner sends it directly there. So you cannot do anything else after converting it to an object. Well, and if you for some reason or other want to stay in your mixing workflow, which is not the Dolby Atmos Composer, then you can do so and basically outsource some of these pain points to the mastering console. For example, you have to be compliant with loudness, as you said before, loudness. So how to correct loudness in an easy way? Well, without actually changing the mix. So the let's say the most basic representation, or the easiest way to do it, would be one knob where you can change the volume, and it changes the volume for the entire mix. Let's say you need to turn down 4 dB, then you just turn down the volume knob 4 dB, which is not that easy in the internal solution, or even not possible. So you have to go there, then you have to basically turn down everything equally, all your if you have for example, if you have a bus, a 712 bus, where you have your bed and everything is penned onto that bus, which is then sent off to becoming the bed, then you also have to change the volume there. So you have to do many things manually to be, to make your mix ready for delivery. But it could be so easy with just one volume knob. So this is one of the many things which we have built into not only the composer but the mastering console. So when you measure the loudness, then you get your values, and then you have just really 2, 3, 4 clicks, and you have your mix compliant without actually changing the sound, without having to always allocate capacity, brain capacity, to the technical job of pulling all the different channels down. So you have one knob, you can do it manually, or you can use the automatic function and to do that. And also, as you said before, mastering nowadays doesn't exist anymore. Well, it still exists, but many people already do bus processing in the mixing stage. So that can be good, that can be bad, depending on the mixer's skills. But since in the Atmos world we have this -18 LUFS rule, that gives us much more possibility. We don't have to crush the dynamics of the mix anymore to win a loudness war, because there's since there's a standard for loudness, then we just have to meet the standard. So there is no race of getting louder, because we just have to be that loud, and that's it, and that's period. So you have to optimize your mix in a very, very different way than what you did with stereo. So you can mix in a much more relaxed way, and you can again listen more to what the music actually needs, not how to make the music just fill out the stereo space in the densest most way, but to actually make the music musical, whatever the genre needs. And so bus processing in Dolby Atmos becomes not unimportant, but less important for the goal of compressing your dynamics, but more really as a polishing tool. And this is where the master channel in the mastering console shines. So you basically load in your IDM file, your mix, which you already, without having any bus processing, which you already optimize as much as you can with mixing, with automating, with compressing, or whatever, dynamics processing your single channels, your bed, and so forth, and then you give it really the final shine there, and using bus processing really to make it more consistent. And the second thing is, when you create an album, you want to make sure that the mixes fit together, that in the end the album sounds as if it is all one family of sound, that all the songs fit together, the mixing sound, the vibe, the feel of all the mixes is equal, so that it is one storyline, if you will. And this is something, again, a big plus of the mastering console, and where you will actually need bus processing, and where it will really excel, so that you can get the best mix possible.
Yeah, absolutely true. I can definitely check everything what you just said, and even some more points, because you were mentioning also again the loudness measuring and also the overall level, because in the thing I've been using, I don't even have that control. I don't see it anywhere where I am level wise. In stereo you have this meter, and there's the 0 dB, and you want to be, I don't know, 0.3 or 0.2 dB under the 0 dB thing now for title mastering that should go out there. But if you're doing a Dolby Atmos mix, you don't have that. And so it's a worrying point. Where am I? If I deliver my thing, where will it end up in comparison to what else is out there? And will the DSP accept it and stuff like that? Or does somebody else who is expensive needs to run it through some, I don't know, interesting or expensive outboard gear? Because I think that stuff exists. If you have something, maybe I'm wrong, but if you run your stuff out to a thing that feeds your speakers, most probably these things have, something that shows your level. And so if you don't have that, you're effed pretty much. And then another thing is I realized, which I was taken as a given, the access to the LFE and some control over this is also very, very limited. And that's something I was so used to, put my own frequency cut on the LFE to make sure that wherever it's played back, there's no full range signal coming out of the LFE, and actually using the LFE. And I realized, so maybe that's the reason why there's so that's where rarely the LFE is used when you're listening to, the streaming stuff that's coming from Apple Music in Dolby Atmos. And because it's so difficult to have a feel as a producer and a mixer for actually what's happening with the LFE. So if you don't have the control, you're most probably, okay, I'd rather leave that because I don't know what's happening there. And all these things. So with a lot of talk, maybe we could get into some practical stuff and show how easily these things, because the next thing would be, okay, if I don't care about that during my mixing process, I just focus on the music and the creative stuff. So how complicated will it become when I get with my final ADM into the mastering console? And I can tell you who have not experienced the mastering console 2.0 yet, it's pretty simple. It's most probably very often the most important basic operations, just like Thomas just said, like one button and you're done. Of course you can season and edit, of course, but the major stuff is done. And I know, Thomas, you have prepared one track we're familiar with in the mastering console from your end. If you agree, maybe we could have a quick look, because that's the thing that was created last year for the Amsterdam Dance event and mixed during the workshop there. And I know, because I created the ADM, that this is level-wise, I think, seriously above the -18. I think it comes in at -13 or -14.
Something like this, yeah.
So, first of all, how do we spot that? And second is, how do we fix that? And maybe you could just demonstrate these two things. Really, really simple and mundane for Fiedler audio users, but a very special thing, so easily to be done for all the people out there who are not familiar yet with the Fiedler audio tools.
Okay, so now you should see the mastering console.
Yep.
So I have one ADM file imported here, which appears on the timeline. And we can quickly get a look at the editor. So this thing was mixed with the mastering console, with the Dolby Atmos composer, using a 9.1.6 composite. So we have a composite doesn't exist really in the Atmos world. In the end, the composite is just a trick to get more channels into a bed-like behavior than which is it's possible with a native Dolby Atmos bed. We know that 712 is the maximum size of a Dolby Atmos bed, and a composite is basically the combination of a bed plus some objects. In that case, 6 objects, 1 through 6, which are positioned to where the remaining speakers of the 916 setup would be. So we have left, right, we have the front tops and the rear tops. And that those together are the 16 channels of the composite, and then this song has some hi-hat and synth and vocals as objects, because they are moved independently through the room, some effect stuff. And this is basically the structure of the ADM file. This is now on the timeline, so we can start basically editing whatever we want. And we can see, before we start with it, I just want to mention something important. With all the integrated Dolby Atmos solutions, be it in Pro Tools, be it in Logic, be it in Nuendo, Cubase, or Studio One, or whatever, wherever you are, you have the Dolby Atmos rendering algorithm with which you either monitor or export re-renders has a built-in limiter. This limiter is there to simulate the limiter which would be applied before encoding an ADM file to MP4 for delivery. So when whatever the streamer is doing with your ADM file. So this limiter is built in and cannot be switched off. I found that this is a problem. Why? Because this is a limiter which easily starts to work when your average loudness is above the -18 LUFS. And that means you have some kind of dynamics going on without actually knowing. So you're pushing your mix, and you have the feeling, okay, everything is nice, it feels like glued together. And so when you then actually correct the loudness to become -18 LUFS, then your mix starts sounding different, and you say, huh, what's happened here? Why does it sound, doesn't it sound so consistent as before anymore? I just lowered the volume. So this shouldn't happen. And this is the reason why we have built into the mastering console the additional renderer headroom, which by default is switched on. If you switch it off, then it will then the renderer will exactly behave as it behaves in the integrated solutions. But if you switch it on, then there's a headroom added by lowering the volume before going into the render and raising it by the same amount afterwards, which let's say keeps the limiter from reacting. It doesn't react to anything. So basically the renderer behaves in a linear fashion. That means you can do all your work without worrying about the limiter kicking in a way you don't like, or in a way you don't notice at the right moment. So for working, for the last step of export, if you really do the last listening check, or if you want to export re-renderer for something serious, then you should switch it off, the additional renderer headroom. But otherwise, when you're doing your mastering work, when you're doing adjustments for your sound, keep that on, because that maintains the limiter out of reach for your signal, so that it doesn't get triggered and it behaves in a linear fashion. So once this is on, we can actually start tackling the sound. So for actually accessing the master channel, or for working on the clip, we can, now I'm in batch mode, but the same thing would be basically working in the album mode. The batch mode is the easiest mode for working. If you just want to work on one clip, for example, you just select the clip, and then you see the master channel in the top left corner becomes visible, and you can put OBAM plugins on it. And OBAM plugins, OBAM means object-based audio module. This is our new plugin format, which is there to which we created basically to have a sort of plugin which can process an entire Dolby Atmos mix with up to 128 channels with all the bells and whistles. So, Tom, what do you want to say?
I think with the utmost respect, you're getting a little bit ahead of yourself.
Okay.
If I can remind you what was actually the question and the point when we got into this, and that was showing how easy it is with one button to learn how the dynamic situation is, and second, how to fix it. And of course, then all the other things come that you were just about to enter into. So before I thought you were getting into that, and you start to swim too far away from the beach. I would just remember that we would just show 2 or 3 major things that are very, very close to the beach. And for example, how we can see what kind of dynamics level we are dealing with, and then how to fix it, and how to quickly check how the true peak situation is, to have for the first time real information about where we are at, and then from there we can get to work. So that's just to make the flow chapter-wise, logically, one after the other. Excuse me for this.
Yeah. So so let me put this off here for a while. We get there back. If you want to check the loudness of your mix, for example, which is very important for delivery, in any mixing workflow, you basically would have to, if the internal solution has a loudness measurement facility, then you would have to switch that on and play in real time your song through. So every time you measure, it will be you have to wait until the whole song plays through, because that's how it is standardized. And but there's a way which can be really fast, especially when it comes to correcting the loudness. So in the mastering console, when you have loaded your song, you can open the measurement management window, so to say. There all loudness functions are in there, which are important. When that opens, you see, well, if you have more songs inside, you will see a lot more rows, but we have currently only one. And the first step would be, you want to know how loud is my song, what's the value. So you can either measure one single, or you can measure all if you have many more, and then you just wait and it will show you the loudness. So I think this is some song which I already worked on it. So what we can see here is that this song was already processed before, so we already are adherent to the loudness values. So in case we would really need to change something here, let's say tomorrow Apple Music says, no, we don't accept -18 anymore, we want -20. So let's check. We can, in the lower left corner, we can basically, in case we need to, we can change the target value of our loudness. Let's put it to -20. Changing this doesn't change anything in your mix. It just changes how the values are presented to you. And now we see, okay, it's red. So in your mixing environment, you would have to, after the tedious process of waiting until your entire song goes through, you would then have to manually pull down all your objects and your bed by 2 dB. And what can be done here is you can just use one of these 2 buttons here, auto adjust. So you can automatically adjust to the target value, which is set here. So of course you can, if you only have one song, you can also use the master gain slider, which belongs to this mix. But doing it with the automatic buttons will use that same master gain. So if I say auto adjust, then the gain slider will be adjusted to -2 dB, because that's what's required to actually adhere to the -20, which I just put here. So now we have adjusted the loudness of the song with just one single click to the target value we want to reach. Okay, true peak. Well, now we are in a place where we are very safe with true peaks, but for the sake of demonstrating, I will do something. Let me pull this up a lot. So let's say I just loaded the song and I want to measure. So I measure my song and I see, ooh, I'm way off, way out. So after correcting, let's ignore the integrated loudness and think we have just done it. Then we have to, after that, we have to tackle the true peak. So usually this is then even more practical in the mastering console, because when you have in your normal mixing workflow, when you have adjusted your loudness to the desired value, and then your mix might have some peaks somewhere, and your loudness plugin or your loudness measurement shows, okay, I'm over the top, I have to correct somehow. If you want to correct this in your DAW, that's a really major pain in the back. Why? Because you don't want to put down your entire mix just to be under the radar, under the true peak level. So you have to look, where is it actually happening? Where is it occurring? And everywhere where is it occurring, you have to find out what is the cause, which channel, which object is the cause for the peak. And then if you manually basically turn it down, you cannot use a simple limiter there, because it will limit basically everything, and you don't know if you are now limiting something which has to be limited to be consistent with the loudness or with the true peak goal, or if you're limiting something just to be sure, but you are limiting too much. So what you want to solve this problem, what you want is a true peak limiter which actually only takes that away which is necessary to be taken away, and nothing else, nothing more. And this the limiter with the true peak limiter in the mastering console comes into play, which can be switched on. You can also auto engage limiters if you have multiple songs here. I just did it manually here. So the max true peak value is by default at -1. You can change it there as well in case you need to. And now, since I turned on the limiter, the loudness value says changed, because I changed something in the processing. So I have to measure again basically, and then let's see what the limiter says. So it's a little bit slower because the limiter is quite a complex piece of technology. It basically measures after the renderer and limits before. So loudness measurement works like this in Dolby Atmos. Your Atmos mix is rendered to 5.1. And then this 5.1 signal is measured when it comes to loudness and true peak. So basically after rendering your mix to 5.1, it is determined if your mix is too loud or not. But you cannot, limiting the output of the renderer wouldn't make any sense, because you don't change your actual mix. So you would have to measure after the renderer and limit before. And this is exactly what we are doing. So as you can see, I turned on the limiter and we are now coherent here. We have -1.08 dB. So we are top. We are ready to export. So, and if we have a lot of songs where we have to do it, this is a time saver. You can, if you just want to correct loudness in all the mixes of a 10-song album, you can spend days. Literally days. If you really want to only take that away, what is required to be adherent with the loudness goal without changing the sound of your mix, or without compromising the achievable loudness, it could take days to get there. With this, it takes minutes. So I think that's something to digest, but that would be the number one. What do you say, Thomas? Tom.
One second, my control thing disconnected from the mixer, so sorry for that. Well, I think, that was so much more than basically was asked for in terms of explanation. And you didn't show the nice True Peak thingy there on the main page of the Dolby of the mastering console.
What do you mean by the nice True Peak thingy?
If you show the screen again, I can tell you.
Okay.
And you just hit play, and above the measuring thing, you have this True Peak thing.
This one here.
Yeah, because that's also very, very. It comes in handy, and it's so instantly. You just bring in your ADM file, you hit play, and you hear what you did, and then you also see where you are in terms of level and also True Peak limiting. If you could do that for a second.
Okay. Let me just turn it down a bit here because we exaggerated.
Just hit play.
Yeah.
So that's the only on the entire world, as far as I know, please correct me if I'm wrong, True Peak limiter for Dolby Atmos that actually is in real time and showing you what's going on. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's the only True Peak limiter which does what you need for taking out the True Peaks which are keeping you from achieving the loudness goal. It's the only thing which exists. It's the only thing which measures after the renderer but limits before. So I mean, in the measuring window, this is the same knob as this small knob here, which basically turns the limiter on and off. And of course, when you close the measurement window, you have access to more parameters. You can change a target, you can change release time, and you can also listen to what the limiter takes away in case it takes away something. So let's jump to a place. If you want me to
play and maybe change the threshold so that the audience can see how it takes down basically the True Peaks.
Yeah. So as you can see here. So now you hear what the limiter takes away. Only the peaks.
And this alone basically is worth $500 because it's available nowhere. And the thing is, maybe we come back briefly to our FaceTime here. That we had this conversation very often, and last time as well. You know, the quality, let's call it quality, the way Dolby Atmos mixes sound, if you listen to a lot of stuff that's out there, and if you compare it. And there are some things, some comments that sometimes the music seems to fall apart a little bit compared to the stereo mix and stuff like that. And now, after realizing what I identified as pain points, and trying to avoid them would basically automatically lead to some mixes which are really low with not so much loudness optimization and being shy of looking for real impact and real fullness and stuff like that, because you have no idea where you are level-wise, and you have to be safe, and you have to fit to the DSPs, level regulations. And with this one here, you know all the time where you are and what you can do and what you are allowed to do. And then, and most probably we come to this now, because that's where you wanted to go, like some moments before. But I just wanted to make sure that the drastic and super fantastic situation is fully understood by the audience there. That because you have all the time access to these tools and check your overall level and also the true peak situation, so you can squeeze the Virginis, as they say, out of your mix, your Dolby Atmos mix, just as you would be able to do for your stereo mixes. You don't have to, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it would be fun to, you know, have a little bit more beef, meat and potatoes in some of the some parts of the signal. And now you can do that, and that's basically, as far as I know, and I might be wrong, but I'm totally excited about that. Most probably you hear that you can do that, and that's nowhere else, I think, is it possible like this. So, Thomas, please correct me as I'm wrong, as usual, and also you people out there. But yeah, rant over, and maybe now, knowing about how we can measure all the time what we're doing, we could get into, you know, the mastering channel and OBAM, and the beautiful possibility that not only the bed can be adjusted dynamically, but also the objects and how this works. So, Thomas, please.
Okay.
Go on. If you have nothing to add to my
no, I mean,
rant here.
you're completely right. I mean, there are many factors which are causal to the situation that many Atmos mixes apparently fall apart compared with the stereo. And one of the reasons is probably that people mix into the aforementioned Dolby Atmos renderer limiter, which is always on in the internal solutions, without knowing that it is there. And they mix and they feel fine and they are well above the loudness goal. And then in the last stage, the loudness goal gets corrected. They assume that the mix didn't change, the overall sound of the mix didn't change. They deliver because now it's loudness corrected. And then, well, it fell apart. They don't have this kind of mix bus processing which they have feeling-wise before, because the limiter doesn't work anymore. So that is where the master channel comes in, because you can now consciously do mix bus processing with the for your Dolby Atmos mix. So let me throw this out here. Now we have an empty master channel, and there are currently two OBAM plugins. One is the Tone Booster Equalizer Pro, and one is Gravitas MDS, which is our compressor. Let's put one in and open it up. So, as we can see here, this is the virgin state of Gravitas MDS, which is running as a plugin and is receiving the entire mix. If we just quickly check out the input configuration, we can see all the channels coming from the Atmos mix. So we have basically the 10 channel bed plus 12 objects, which is 22 channels. So this is the Gravitas, the compressor, is now basically a 22 channel compressor. And I won't go here into too much detail in the input configuration. Let's just keep it the way it is and start doing something with our for our mix. So as you can see, or as you could have seen before, the mix, when I loaded it into the mastering console, was already corrected in loudness. We also mixed it in way too loud and then corrected it down. So let's say we want to have some additional processing. Let's get to 1 here and let's start playing around a little bit to get to some processing, to get to some results. And let's start here. So, as you hopefully heard, I just tweaked a little bit threshold, a little bit ratio, a little bit the knee, and I adjusted the peak mode here, which basically I adjusted from 0 to 100%, which basically says now that it takes the loudest signal across all channels as the trigger. So it takes all channels in account, and it since link is at 100%, all the channels are compressed in the same way, so that the overall image of your mix stays the same and it doesn't get wobbly in spatial terms. And as you could hear, in the last part I went back and forth between mix 0% and mix 100%, so you can also do parallel compression if you want, but you can also, this way you can basically check out quickly what it's doing and what it's not. So as you could hear, you can of course destroy your mix, or you can do some really subtle glow, really subtle glue here. So let me put it to a place where there's more going on, and let's listen again. I will put it to 0% and then go to 100% so that you can hear what it does. So as you could hear, it was evening. It was subtle, but it was evening out the entire mix a bit, making it a little more dense. And that would be some basic adjustment for a mix bus compressor. Of course, you can go fancy, and you can also do some detailed stuff. Let's put on another gravitar, so you can basically put there as many plugins as you want. So let's say we want to have we want to work a little bit on our kick. So the first thing we can do is we can check where our kick is living here in the mix. Well, I know that it is living in the front two channels, front left and front right. So let's switch everything off except the first two channels here. So now the upper is the detector section where I can select which channels I want to trigger the compressor. And on the bottom left, on the bottom channel, I have selected the entire mix for processing. So the top left, the top controls determine what will trigger, and the lower selector buttons here will say which of the channels are actually processed or compressed in that case. So let's just take the kick as a trigger, and let's not process the kick, but let's process everything else. So that means whenever the kick kicks in, everything else gets ducked. let's check out what we can do with this. So before doing that, we have to, or we don't have to, but we can actually narrow down frequency-wise where the kick lives, so that we really only get the kick, that the compressor is only working when the kick comes in. Okay, so we can listen to the sidechain, so that here we can listen what goes into the detector, and we will decouple the equalizer from the main equalizer, so that we can narrow down the part which we actually wanted to trigger. So let's make it a little more steep, and let's adjust it while listening.
This is seriously loud.
I'm sorry.
So hopefully you guys out there were not, taken by surprise.
Okay. I have to put it down. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that should be it. Now we have our trigger signal, and sorry, I forgot to switch it off. Now we have the trigger signal, and we can see that this is the trigger signal which is going on. Let's get the mix a little bit up. Let's make it a little more extreme, just for the sake of demonstration. So as you hopefully could hear, now when it's at 100%, the kick really stands out from the mix, because whenever the kick comes in, everything gets pulled down. We can of course optimize everything here by pulling down the attack phase and making a little bit longer the release, so that really the kick gets its room. And you could see how extreme the compression actually kicks in, that whenever the kick comes, the overall level is reduced. Yeah, and of course we also have an equalizer.
Just one thing here, I just wanted to mention, because as we're streaming here, and this whole signal, the binaural stuff from Thomas from the mastering console is coming in here. So it's when it's getting louder, it's running also into a little limiter here to make sure that everything is not distorting into the stream. So I'm afraid that you guys out there might have heard, 2 times compression, the limiting here from the OBS thing, plus what was going on in Gravitas. But I could hear definitely the differences, and I hope you could as well. And I realized that I think there's room for a Gravitas in Mastering Console 2.0 Masterclass.
Sure.
That's because I just learned so much I wasn't aware of in the last 5 minutes. So that I think this is really worth doing and looking. So please let us know what you think, people, and back over to Thomas.
Okay, so we also have, or there is another OBAM plugin from Tone Boosters, and which is basically an EQ, which is not unlike many other graphical EQs like FabFilter, Pro Q4 or whatnot. So when you open it, you have basically an empty screen, and you can let's create a band here. let's give it. Let's say we want to have a little more brightness. Let me turn off this extreme gravitas here. Let's say we want to have a little more brightness on the front channels. So I created a band, and usually the band is acting on all channels. So now it's a 22 channel equalizer. And for each band, you can create many bands here with different filter types and filter slopes and so forth. And so we can now, when we click here on the All button, then we see all the incoming channels. And you can also nicely see where here we have the bed, which is left, right, center, LFE, and so forth. And then we have the objects from 1 through 12. And yeah, I just said I want to give a little more brightness to the front left and front right channels. So let's turn first all off and just enable left and right. Perfect. That's it. What we have to do to select these channels. If we want to select more, we can select more, but let's do it like this. And yeah, just have a listen and adjust to taste. So as you could see and hear, you can easily adjust so many things. You can adjust the overall frequency response of your entire mix, or you can do something about certain channels, certain positions in your mix. And well, one more thing which is really nice is, let's say you get a mix, or you have a mix where the LFE channel was not filtered, which is something which you have to do before delivering a Dolby Atmos mix. The Dolby Atmos rendering algorithm itself doesn't do any filtering for you, so you have to do it for delivering a compliant ADM file. So it's very easy. You just hook up one equalizer Pro into the mastering console. You create a band. We have to change that from peaking to high cut. Let's take one high cut here, and let's make it a 12 dB high cut, and yeah, let's put it like more or less like 120 Hertz. And of course we need to all off and only select the LFE. So that way you can have a filter on your LFE done afterwards, after your mix is already ready. And that's it. Very, very easy solution in case you have a mix where that hasn't been done before. Yeah, of course, as you can see, there are so many more possibilities what you can do here that, yeah, that again could be another masterclass.
Fantastic. And yeah, I think that was already again a lot, and so many aspects that would be great candidates for looking more into this in terms of having a mix and stuff like that. So yeah, that we would have to address to masterclass wise. So you guys out there, please let us know what the most burning questions are. And I just realized how powerful really this is, and how much easier it is. And that's basically the whole thing and the theme of the show today. But even more now, when you're looking back at your mixing stage, because there's so many things you don't have to worry about anymore, because there's Mastering Console 2.0 and the OBAM plugins that make sure that everything will be fine in the end. So that's a very good outcome of that story when you get into Dolby Atmos mixing. Just be creative and get the mastering console, and everything will be fine. Actually, really, because hit buttons and your level is right, and then you can, of course, destroy your mix big time.
If you want.
Afterwards, after your mixing work, but on the other hand, you can really make it, as impactful as possible. And also the beauty is now with the monitoring options, you can switch to, the Apple renderer. You can check with head tracking, and you can compare to when you have your Apple stream going, how you're looking in terms of what else is out there. So that's a so convenient work situation for getting your mixes done that is really, really uncomparable to the tedious stuff you have to do with all the other solutions. I'm afraid I have to say, from my point of view, as a stupid music mixer who fell into the Dolby Atmos thing through
the Dolby Atmos trap.
happening to know Mr. Thomas Fiedler. Yeah. So if you guys have any questions now, please issue them, and also please let us know what you think about some master classes that might be required and you would maybe appreciate. Otherwise, we would wrap it up for this time and see, have a look at your feedback and come up with the next edition in 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, I think there are some questions.
Yeah, so the glue thing, I think it's, of course, answered big time. And, the holiday sale announcements, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, because before the holidays, there are the couple of special Fridays coming. So watch out these channels about announcements soon, very soon.
Yeah. We won't ignore the holidays, so that much we can say.
Yeah. So, too loud. Yes, please. I agree. It makes life so much easier. I did use 3 essentials.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolby Atmos Composer Essential is a good way to start. And the full version of the Dolby Atmos Composer also has the master channel, so you can also load OBAM plugins there and really, get to the next level. Already in the mixing stage.
Yeah. So, more about the routing and room tuning for a speaker array. Yes, I mean, that's in the mastering console as well. You can tune all your speakers, and I think it's the most complete and most advanced software solution for setting up your Dolby Atmos system without using any expensive external hardware. And
we have a tutorial about this which goes into detail. If you have a specific question, a more specific question about it, then please let us know. But basically the all the controls and what you can do is explained in the tutorial.
Yes, and also at this point, very important to mention, the trial period for all the Fiedler products has been set to 45 days.
Yeah.
And so please go ahead, download Mastering Console and check out, the speaker calibration and tuning system in there, and also the other amazing monitoring features to get a feel for it. And fully functional for that amount of time. And I know of some Dolby Atmos mixers who immediately got into that and did let us know that they were already using the possibility to create gapless albums immediately. And the request from the industry was suddenly also there. And it was about time that there's a convenient solution for that available. So check out the demo version and find out for yourself. And maybe if you get into the demo version and find some things you need some clarification for, that would be the place for the next live stream to let us know your questions. That would be a great discussion. So what plugins are there available and are coming? So as far as I know, that would be something that Thomas needs to answer. So the most essential dynamics and EQ are available. Gravitas from Fiedler and the Tone Boosters EQ.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I cannot give you any details right now, but there is definitely something in the making, not only from us. And so just stay tuned. The ecosystem will definitely grow. This much I can say. And as far as I saw, there was English Bobs asked about the last 2 updates of Dolby Atmos Composer, minor bug fixes. That was about. I mean, there is the change log, which you can find in the applications folder for Dolby Atmos. Yeah, there's just some minor fixes, some minor bug fixes. So that was it. And Raster Ray says, I'm setting up a speaker array now. I haven't gone through the setup yet, hoping for a smooth setup. Yeah, I mean, it's basically this. The basic setting is on the left side, where you can assign each of your Atmos outputs to channel number of your audio device. So whenever you connect your speakers to your multi-channel audio device, you can basically set it up there, in case you don't use something which is working with the standard channel order. And then you can, if you need to, you can also use the equalizer, the volume, and the delay settings for each channel to properly set it up, and get each channel to sound as equal as possible in the sweet spot where you are sitting to listen to your mixes. And that's basically it. So that gives you a lot of possibilities to really customize your setup. And it also gives you the possibility to have a good listening situation in rooms which don't have a perfect geometry. For example, when not all your speakers are have the equal distance to you, so when some have to be closer and some have to be further away, that is a problem in some rooms. So with a delay, delay and volume, basically, you can compensate that so that everything sounds as it should.
Perfect. Cool.
Would be nice if you could make use of Sonarworks multi-channel sound ID inside of mastering console. We hear you. It's something like this is on our backlog, but this is a major thing, so it's not something where I can give you something definite about it, some definite timeline or whatever. But I understand that many people use Sonarworks Sound ID and would like to bring that also into the mastering console. However, if you use, I think it has also a standalone application, so you could basically use a virtual audio device sending from the mastering console to the Sound ID app, and then from the Sound ID app output to your speakers with your settings. That should be possible as far as I know. And for example, on Mac there is this thing called Black Hole. There's one Black Hole version with up to 64 channels. This is a virtual audio device, and I think there are similar things on Windows as well, where you could send from one application to the other your audio.
Cool. So, we're close to 90 minutes. Just reached 80. And so I would say, if you don't have any more questions, we will wrap it up and we'll take with us the simplify suggestion, smaller demos, and then build up. Of course, you're right. But I must say that it takes time that some things that you fully become aware of, because not doing it all the time and doing it to the full extent, the whole process. Sometimes you assume things that are there which aren't there, and things, in terms of understanding that are not there. And so we will learn from you guys to focus on making it easy to be educated on all the steps of the production process with the help of the Fiedler tools, and then provide the knowledge and the techniques to use them and bring them in whenever you need it, and also that you can do this competently. Yeah, so there's some more stuff coming in. No standalone version for the multi-channel. What do you mean, multi-channel?
Yeah,
the
for the
Sonarworks
sound
thing.
Yeah.
Okay, possibly integrated hardware digital rendering with hardware drum. Doom to Dirk's new hardware company purchase.
I don't know what he means.
Dirk. Yeah. Shout out to Dirk for buying first Manley Labs and then Apogee.
He bought Apogee.
Oh, you didn't hear that. So I
thought didn't hear that.
No, this was so obvious because okay, no, Dirk also bought Apogee. Mr.
Wow.
Clear Mountain and the wife Betty and the team and the amazing hardware guys. Yeah, that's also Dirk now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, congratulations, by the way. Shout out to Dirk Ulrich.
Apogee is something, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to what's coming from there. So, Apogee guys, come up with a audio interface that has at least 12 outputs, analog outputs. 16 even better, but at least 12 for 7.1.4.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Portable, easy to connect, working on both Mac and Windows, supporting 48 and 96 kilohertz.
Right. No DSP needed because everything else is handled by the Fiedler audio software. Just quality
stuff.
I/O. Yeah. That's what you can do. That's your forte. So, Dirk, if you hear us, do that. Okay. So, any news on the MP4 export? There's another.
Not yet. We are talking to Dolby about this, and we are hoping to get something soon. But there's nothing yet. As soon as so many people ask for it. This is really one of the top topics on our list. So, as soon as we come to an agreement with Dolby, you will get it. No worries.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for listening and watching and being engaged with Fiedler Audio. And thank you, Thomas, for taking the time to always shine a new light on some things, at least I thought were not so important or not even possible. So thank you for that. And see you soon next time, and check out the extended trial, and also check out what's coming in terms of the next season's goodies, sale announcements. All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.